Did you get a sense post-ICO crash in some of your interactions with the SEC that things were starting to trend in the wrong direction? Or up until the day that things went sideways?
No, we had a sense. I mean, look, so I remember when I first met with the SEC, the SEC had set up this innovation group run by one of Val Sapanic, and she became kind of the crypto czar. They were purportedly just, hey, we want to understand. We went in to kind of just educate them. Frankly, as I was going around the world, meeting with central bankers around the world, talking to them about here's how Ripple's solution works. Here's the kind of customers we're signing. Here's how we use XRP. Mm-hmm. We are one participant in the XRP ecosystem. And so the first meeting I had, Jay Clayton was there, and not once did anyone say to me in this meeting that, and by the way, again, no lawyers from Ripple were there. It was me and David Schwartz. And there's never even a suggestion that XRP was a security. And I thought it was a very constructive meeting just to talk about how Ripple was using XRP and how the whole kind of crypto landscape, looked. Now, to your question, when did we get a sense that the tone had shifted? About a year after that, we got a letter, and now lots of people have gotten these letters. In my judgment, the SEC has gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and just blasting out these investigative letters. But the first letter we got was simply hey, we're looking into this, it's informal, we want your voluntary cooperation. And literally there's a sentence in there that says, we've made no determination about what we view XRP as, but we want to, blah, blah, blah. Now, what's interesting about that is, that happened, and I think in 2019 we got that letter, and we're like, oh, okay, more active engagement, we're happy to cooperate. Again, one of the ironies here, and I know you're pacing how we get into the lawsuit, but in that letter, it references there's been no determination made. Yet they sued us and me personally, suggesting that from 2013 to 2020, I should have known the whole time that XRP was a security. My attitude is I was in your office multiple times. Not once did someone tell me that they viewed XRP as a security. So it's a little bit, I think, and the judge involved in the case, and now I'm getting kind of in the deep end here just for a second. Just recently, the judge had a ruling about some discovery things, and she described the SEC, one, as being hypocritical, two, as not following a faithful allegiance to the law. That's a quote. This is a federal government agency that works for us, right? It's part of the government. We should feel outrage. The idea that now everything under Gary Gensler's view is a security is crazy talk. And I think it does go back to, I know I'm ranting for a minute, just give me one more second. Look, I think you have to go back to first principles.
I mean, you can rant as long as you want about Gary Gensler. My marketing team is relieved. I see I'm getting looks over there.
It's me, not him.
Not me.
Exactly, it's safe space. Look, I think we have to go back to first principles. The United States Securities Exchange Commission is granted authority by legislation from Congress. The 1933 Securities Act describes a security as an investment contract. So everybody talks about the Howey test. If you read the recent summary judgment motion, the point we're making is there's no investment contract. You don't even get to the Howey test. Ripple, the company, and Brad Garlinghouse, the individual, I didn't enter into a contract with anyone who bought XRP. There's no investment contract. If there's not a contract, how do you even get to the Howey test? So look, I do think the SEC's kind of gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and I do think in some positive way, it's catalyzing all of us to write to our legislatures, to donate to people we want to get elected, and I think the pendulum may swing a little bit of a smackdown to the.
So welcome back to the Crypto's Key conversation. Hey, so clearly what's been happening in the Twitterverse with the XRP community and the people that have been involved in sharing information, making videos, doing research, being a part of the class action lawsuit with Johnny Deaton, or being a part of, Jason Foster's Empower Oversight. Clearly, it's been making headway. He's saying a lot of, key terms that we utilize within the community. Just like he said, people are reaching out to, their government representatives and, pretty much fighting that good fight, fighting for what's right. And it's huge and it's evident. Clearly, when it comes to this case, we know Ripple and XRP holders are on the right side of the law, on the right side of history. Clearly, the SEC and the Chairman Gensler are clearly on the wrong side, and they're just going down the path of no return at this point. Shout out to Brad Garlinghouse. He did a great job with Ryan Selkis, and shout out Ryan Selkis as well for even having this conversation like this. He actually let Brad Garlinghouse go in, which is huge. I wanted to touch on a couple of tweets right here. This is from Moon Lambo. It says XRP just hit 49 cents and it is now at 46% in the past 7 days. This is huge. Now for me, I'm not getting overly excited, but then again, I am taking, the positives as they come, knowing that there's been a lot of price suppression and a lot of FUD campaigns against XRP. So this is huge. This is a win for the XRP community. This is absolutely massive. Nowhere near any of my profit taking, targets. Absolutely positive though. XRP Crypto will put this up. He goes, what's your end of the month price prediction for XRP? I like these questions because I like to see kind of, how many FUDers come in the chat and, what people's thought process is in regards of, what they think the price is going to be. But at the end of the day, when it comes to, Ripple and SEC litigation, like the end of the month price prediction is really interesting. He just kind of sparking the conversation, getting everybody engaged and, trying to keep the community excited. It's absolutely huge. I wanted to touch on CoinGecko real quick. We're currently sitting under a $1 trillion market cap at 983 billion. Coming down here, Bitcoin sitting at 19,427, Ethereum sitting at 1332, and look at XRP holding strong up here in the high 40s, looking at 48, almost 49 cents, up 21%, 49% for a 7-day period. Absolutely huge. Bitcoin Fear and the Green Index, we're still in this extreme fear range, still sitting at this 20. A lot of stuff going on in regards of market uncertainty. I wanted to touch on this from Digital Asset Investor. Says any settlement on tables. Let's take a listen in to Stuart Alderati. This is Ripple's general counsel right here.
Yes or no? Any settlement on the table?
We've said publicly since day one that this case settles if the SEC makes clear that Ripple sales and distributions of XRP and XRP's trading in the secondary market does not constitute a security. If they're willing to acknowledge that, the case settles and settles very, very quickly. Without that acknowledgement, we have no choice to continue to defend the case, and we're defending the case not only on behalf of Ripple, we're really defending this case on behalf of the entire crypto industry. Because if we're not going to get clarity through regulatory rulemaking, and we're getting deliberate confusion brought upon the market. If we're not going to get clarity through the legislative process, and there's some good faith efforts to make that work, the only other place where you can get clarity is through the judicial process, the litigation process, and that's where we're going to get it.
I should have started the video with this one with Stu Alderati. It was this is actually huge. But yeah, I mean, nothing's changed. Brad Garlinghouse has come out and said it publicly. He's like, hey, nothing's going to happen unless, we get the regulatory clarity it needs. And it's beyond Ripple and XRP. It's for the entire industry in general. It's crazy that, obviously we're still going through litigation and the SEC and Chairman Gensler are still utilizing the tactics they're using. And it's quite evident there's been conflicts of interest in this whole ETHgate scandal and, picking and choosing winners and losers and who's going to be successful and who's not. And obviously you have involvement with incumbents and behind closed door meetings and all this shady stuff that's been happening. At the end of the day, Ripple, the company itself, was standing up for what's right, just like Library's trying to stand up for themselves in the case against the SEC as well. But they're standing up for what's right, not just for themselves, for the entire industry, because they know that this case is truly going to set precedent on a going forward basis. Absolutely huge. Shout out Stuart Alderati there in Ripple. Crypto Eddie had put this up. This is interesting. It's about 44 seconds, but just kind of listen in to kind of what happens. I'm not even going to play this right here. Actually, I'll read it. It says, hear the silence followed by the gasps. No free cup of coffee for you, Gary Gensler. Representative Huizinga had a message for you today. Quote, constitutional duty. Let's listen into this.
Thank you. The gentleman from Michigan, Mr. Huizinga, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so to our newbies, welcome. To our frequent flyers, Mr. Scharf, Moynihan, Diamond, and Ms. Frazier, welcome back. One more punch on the punch card, and I think you get a free cup of coffee. Interestingly enough, you've actually been here more than Gary Gensler has. I wish we would pay as much attention to the actual regulators, the folks, by the way, who we have constitutional duty to have oversight of, than those that the regulators are supposed to regulate.
I mean, yeah, Chairman Gensler, man, I don't know how he can live that life. Like, I wouldn't want to put my name and my face on these behaviors and actions. Just no way, man. It's absolutely crazy. And what's awesome is a lot, if not all of this, has truly stemmed from these Twitter sleuths and this XRP community and this Twitter community that we have coming together to fight the good fight. Saw a wrongdoing, just like Johnny Deaton did. Saw something wrong and stood up for what was right. Absolutely huge. And it's literally, this momentum that we've gained just in the Twitter community alone, the YouTube community alone, has now hit mainstream, and it's only going to continue to unfold further and really hit, I guess you could say the masses, so everyone can be updated and educated on what's happening. This divide within the crypto community is absolutely unacceptable. We need to stand together and realize who are the real enemies of the crypto space. I'm going to end on this one right here. It's about 4 minutes and 51 seconds. This is Charles Gasparino, Liz Clayman, and this is Brad Garlinghouse. It says, breaking, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse appears on Fox Business amid XRP price surge approaching 50 cents. And apparently on Binance, I think it did touch 50 cents. People were talking about it being like a massive sell-off or whatever. But hey, we're going to take the little wins when we can get them, huh? Let's listen into this.
Your continuing saga with the SEC. Jamie Dimon called crypto a decentralized Ponzi scheme yesterday before Congress. Why don't you react?
I read that. Look, I think very notable people, including Jamie Dimon, have called it a fraud. Warren Buffett, I think, had some negative comments.
Right.
Look, I think we've reached a point where we know this industry is not going away. It's here to stay. You're talking about $1 trillion of value. And I think ultimately these things, as we've talked about here on this show before, are going to be measured by what utility, what problem are you solving. And so, for him to call it a Ponzi scheme, there's 50 million people here in the United States who have direct exposure to crypto that might disagree with him.
Well, let's get to XRP because the Twitterverse is going nuts over your appearance right now on Fox Business with Charlie. And XRP, of course, the native coin to the Ripple. Tell me exactly why you think that this jump in price is happening. What news can you give us?
Look, it's hard to know. Honestly, I've watched crypto now. I've been in the business at Ripple for 7.5 years. I've been in crypto for about 9 years. It's really hard to know. What I would point to is a couple things. Before the SEC got involved
with you guys,
with us and ETH, because again, there's two factors here. One, XRP was the second most valuable digital asset ahead of ETH, and then around 2018 was a kind of a famous, now infamous speech that kind of anointed
Bill
ETH
Hinman of the corporation finance.
And so, look, I think increasingly as the summary judgment filings were made public, people realized that maybe the SEC really is overreaching. They really aren't following a kind of faithful allegiance to the law. And that's a quote from the judge in this case. And so I think people are realizing that, the
judge said that it might be. They might not be, right?
No, but the judge said is, one, the SEC is being hypocritical.
Yes.
And two, they said that they were not following a faithful allegiance to the law in pursuit of an outcome. And I think that's what we have here. The SEC, I think, has kind of lost its way. I said yesterday on stage, I think it's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
I was going to ask you that. I mean,
I just think we have to remember the SEC gets its power from statutes passed by Congress. Congress gives the SEC power. The SEC can't just take power. What the power says today for the 1933 Securities Act said that you have to have an investment contract. So as you'll see in our motion for summary judgment, the first step of determining could XRP be a security is you have to have an investment contract. And our point is Ripple doesn't have a contract. With whom is the contract? It's not a written contract. It's not an oral contract. It's not an implicit contract.
So where we are right now in the case?
So the summaries for the motions for summary judgment were just filed last week. They were made public on Saturday, which I'll mention very briefly. We had agreed with the judge and with the SEC to release those on Monday. They jumped the gun. And it's just this constant, I think, disrespect to the court process, and which we've seen time and time again. The judge in this case has ruled 5 different times that the notes associated with that infamous speech we're talking about should be turned over to Ripple.
And they didn't
we
want to
still
do
don't
it.
have them.
You still
we still don't have them.
So the case, she's going to make a decision on whether it goes to trial or not, or whether she'll just rule from the bench, right? Soon.
Yeah, I think we expect that there won't be a trial because trials and juries are really to determine if there's uncertainty about facts.
Right.
The facts here really aren't very much dispute. The law is in dispute.
You think she's going to?
We think she has the information to make a ruling, and we think it's very clear that the SEC is grossly overreaching their authority.
Before we go, what is your relationship with this gentleman, Ryan? What's his name? Ms.
Smelkus.
Smelkus. What is this?
No, he calls me Garlic House. I call him Smelkus. His name's Ryan Selkus. He's a very smart guy.
He runs.
He runs
what? He runs
Masari,
which is a crypto information service.
Exactly. He hosts right now in
By
New
the way,
York
this
City.
is you dunking him.
Well, I cheated. The dunk tank, it turns out, is hard. Yeah.
This is an
Liz
industry
is going to laugh
conference.
at me now.
Well, it worked.
It did work.
Now you guys have a love-hate thing going, right? More hate?
Look, as we have talked about, people's persona on Twitter can be quite different than their persona in person.
Right.
And I think he's run a great conference, and he's part of the kind of conversation of how to bring crypto into the future. But he's said some stuff on
So he's
Twitter.
kind of a jerk on Twitter.
That would be an understatement.
Oh,
Well,
really?
You could go read. I mean, well, I don't know.
What do you call you?
I'm not. Safe space.
Charlie knows from jerks on Twitter.
By the way, I get trolled on Twitter a lot. And there was one guy, I don't want to say his name. We went back and forth on Twitter a lot. Now we're very close. We talk every day. I like
Maybe Ryan Selkis and I have a bromance budding. We'll see.
Dinner, maybe?
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah. Charlie, the United Nations is on the phone. They want you to solve the Middle East crisis.
Okay, yes, I'm there.
Thank you.
Anyways, I love seeing. Well, obviously Charles Gasparino, Liz Clayman. I love seeing them talk, but Brad's the stud, man. There's a lot going. Obviously, it's just a waiting game to kind of see what happens with litigation. I don't think there's been any updates with the library case. Let me go ahead and look before I go real quick. LBRY. See if there's any updates with this thing while I'm here. Gary gets to drop the surprise panel. Yeah. Okay, so no updates yet. It's just going to be a waiting game to kind of see what happens. But that's what I have for you. Make sure you stay locked in. Subscribe to the Crypto is Key Conversation YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at Crypto is Key 1. I really appreciate your support. We're going to continue to bring you content. With all that being said, stay strong out there. Be safe.